Welcome to the Steel Birds podcast, starring your hosts Corey King and Harry Brockington the fourth, aka Brock. What's good, man? How goes it?
Man, just another day,
Yeah, out here grinding, surviving.
Right, waiting to camp. Same old.
Yep. I feel you. So today we are going to, just talk about any sort of news going on with our teams. Not much going on in the NFL world this time of year. So we'll talk about that a little bit, and then we will, kind of break down season future props for some players on the offensive side of the ball for our team. So like what our QBs, receivers, running backs, we'll have in terms of total yardage, total TDs, whatever for the year, little prop bets to kind of just, jump on those because I'm sure at some point FanDuel, DraftKings will have their own, but we're just going to, make our own for right now and see how close we are to that. And maybe at the end of the year, we'll look back and see how close we were on these totals. And then, wrap it up with grind our gears at the end. So to start us off, in terms of Eagles news, there wasn't a whole lot. A few days ago, the Eagles were cleared of any sort of tampering allegations that were made against them, I guess, during the offseason trying to sign Saquon Barkley. They were accused of illegally tampering, which is nonsense because that's what every team does. And the Falcons only got penalized for, I think they got a 5th round pick taken away and got, I think $100,000 fine or something. They had some
Their
sort
GM
of fines.
was like $50K or some small
$50K for the GM, and the team got fined and they took away a 5th round pick. So the NFL doesn't really care about tampering. It never did, but they're trying to act like it's a big deal. But the Eagles were cleared of any wrongdoing anyway, so it didn't affect any of their draft picks or anything. We signed Saquon the right way, I guess, whatever the fuck that means. And then, the only other thing that I really saw recently was Merrill Reese, who is the local Eagles announcer, very famous guy. He got selected to be in the Hall of Fame. He won the 2024 Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award. So shout out to him. He's like the voice of Philly. Whenever they post clips of players scoring and all that, I always you always hear his voice. He's been around for a long time. So shout out to Merrill Reese. But other than that, man, mini camp's over with. Team, is looking good. I'm hoping for some sort of updates in the future. But that's all that's going on in Philly. How's it looking in Pittsburgh? What's new over there?
Yeah, man, it's just same old stuff. Haven't really signed anyone else since the Cam Sutton signing. Just getting to see different players doing drills and stuff like that, and they've said that Justin Fields has been able to get some reps with the one. So a lot of people have taken Mike Tomlin's comments about Russ being in pole position, meaning that there is no competition really for Justin this year to try to take the spot. It's really just Russ's job, and I don't really believe that because I just don't feel like they would have even got Justin or felt like they needed to get Justin if they just felt like, oh, Russ is good, we'll have him for 3 to 5 years. He could play till he's late 30s, 40, whatever. If that was their philosophy behind it, kind of how when Buccaneers acquired Tom Brady, stuff like that, they didn't go and get another young dude. Obviously Brady's Brady, but my point behind that is being that feels like that was kind of like an insurance or we need to have a guy who can still be with our franchise for the next decade. And so that's why I do believe that Justin does have a shot outside of just Russ getting injured. I feel like he can overtake that spot if Russ doesn't perform. So he has been taking reps with the ones, so people kind of I think are understanding that he wouldn't be getting reps with the ones if it really was just no competition at all. And then Troy Fautanu has said that he believes he's going to be playing right tackle. So the storyline behind Broderick being put back to left, I think is going to be true because he's come out and said that even though he's been working at both, that he believes that starting in training camp he's going to be at right. So meaning Broderick will be at left, and then they said Zach Frazier's probably going to be day one starting. He's looking good at center, so just things like that, and you know we'll see what the battles are looking like in training camp. That's pretty much it for the news.
Yeah, that's good then. That's what you were kind of predicting anyways going into the I guess into the draft and all that. Yeah, they got someone to replace or not replace to let Broderick go back to left. So
yeah, so
that'll be nice.
Really good to see at least that they're not doing that. And it's good to see that, like, barring anything crazy happening, that both Troy and Zach will start day one because I know there's probably other organizations that do this, but like mainly Steelers are like they want to bring rookies along really slow and like kind of like you got to earn like but it's like obviously that's true, but like I've said it before, if they earn that during camp, start them day one. Like don't if they're better than the dudes who have been there in the league 5 years, that should tell you enough.
This
is 5 years like. And he's not better than a rookie, then what is he even doing out there type of thing? It's like, especially specifically this year with the type of schedule we have no time to mess around at all. So it's like, don't do that. Don't be having Dan Moore out there at left tackle and have brought in, don't start Troy, your number one draft pick that can play, and don't do that. Cause I feel like that happened to Joey Porter last year. Our defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, kept saying, we're bringing him along slowly, and he's showing flashes, but I don't know if he's there yet. And it's like, what are you even talking about, bro? In camp, he was never really getting beat other than by George Pickens, who is amazing talent, but no other receiver was beating him at all. He's getting interceptions, and then the little plays that he was going in during the season wasn't getting beat. He was having tackling issues, but other than that, it's not like he was getting beat. He wasn't having a bunch of penalties. So it's like, bro, let him start. And so it finally took him to, I think, week 8 for him to be like, yeah, he's ready. So I'm hoping that's not the case, and it's looking like it's not. So I'm happy about that.
This isn't college. Like there's no seniority. There's no earn their stripes, earned a chance to start. Nah, it's best man plays and go play the best and go win games. That's all.
Especially if you care about your job. Yeah, that's your fault. If that is happening and the best dude's not on the field, and then we're losing because then that's your fault. So it shouldn't be rocket science.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's all we got with that. We can hop into these future prop bets if you're ready.
Yep. Let's do it.
Bet. Okay, so we got we're gonna do we have a long list here, but we don't want to give it to you guys all at once. We're gonna split these bad boys up, do them over a few pods maybe. So we got some kind of normal prop bets to start for a season, and then we have another list of like more fun, kind of uncommon ones. So to start, the first one is total passing yards, and for the Eagles, it's just going to be Jalen Hurts here. But for his total passing yards, I have him at around 3,750.5 yards. So not necessarily 4K, not 3,500. Right in between there. I don't think if I remember correctly, no Eagles quarterback has ever thrown for 4,000 yards. So I'm hoping that this is the year.
Threw for 4?
I don't think so. It's been a while. Let me check. I may be wrong, but yeah. So hopefully the curse, the fucking curse, the rule, the whatever you want to call it, has ended. Oh, I'm sorry. Carson Wentz was the first in 2019. That was the first.
Still surprising.
That was the last time. Jalen Hurts in 2023 had 3,858.
Okay,
But
so
yeah,
he was
I
close.
think in 2022, Jalen Hurts easily could have gotten it, but like there were some games he didn't even play in the fourth quarter, so that kind
Right.
of, or like
Yeah.
half the fourth quarter. So a lot of second halves in 2022 were blowouts, so he kind of chilled. But
Right.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Carson Wentz was the first with 4,039 in 2019. But yeah, it's been a while, so hopefully he can get the 4K. But yeah, I have him at 3,750 and a half.
Okay.
What you got over there for
So for
yours?
Russ, last year he had 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, I believe. So, because of the type of offense we're running, I think it's like I've said before, is tailored to him. And I do believe we have way better weapons than Denver, all around, wide receiver and tight end.
For sure.
Definitely. So, I'm looking for that to be better. And also, he's just going to be in a more positive environment. Obviously, I've said, it's very obvious him and Sean Payton did not get along. Him and Mike Tomlin seem to love each other already. Like they're really close, best friends. So it's like, people might not understand that matters, like the environment, the positivity going in the game day, just feeling like you are that leader. People appreciate you, all those things. That's just going to elevate your game, I feel like. So I'm looking for him to at least have 3,400 yards passing to his 3,070 last year. And then I'm going to go over 26. I'm going to say he's going to have 31
Okay.
touchdowns.
Nice.
Um, and then, yeah, for, I guess, his rushing.
Well, here let me do
You want
Jalen's
to, okay.
yeah. For his, I would say for Jalen Hurts, passing touchdowns last year he had 23. The year before he had 22. So I had it at like 21. So over under 20 and a half. I think
Okay.
he can get over that. But also when the Eagles get down the red zone, a lot of the times it's just him doing the QB sneak. So
Right.
that kind of takes away from his passing TDs. But I think hopefully somewhere around 20 plus TDs, 4,000 yards would be great to see from him. So that's what I got. But yeah, go ahead. You want to do rushing for
Yeah, so
Russell Wilson?
for Russ, he had 341 rush yards and 3 touchdowns. Not anything crazy. Those are all just, probably him scrambling, getting first down, so that he's not what he was doing before, and he's not going to be like a packaged running quarterback type of guy. I'm going to look for it to be, pretty much around the same, maybe a little bit less. So I'm going to have like maybe 250
Okay.
rush yards, maybe 2 touchdowns. I do believe that, regardless of what people think about them not implementing a package for Justin Field, I just think that would be really, it would just be lazy not to implement something. Like even if he's not going to start, we can still use his talents, and I definitely feel like that's going to be used. It's been talked about already in the red zone, and so a lot of the touchdowns that maybe Russ could get with a sneak or just running it in 3 yards, 5 yards, I think Justin is going to steal a
Yeah.
lot of those. So yeah, Russ, I'm going to have 250 rushing, 1 touchdown for Justin Fields here. I think I'm going to have him with like 500, 550 rush yards
Okay.
and six touchdowns. That's what
Okay.
I'll say.
Okay. I can see it. I can see it. For Jalen Hurts, he had he only had 605 rushing yards last season, but in 2022 and 2021 he had over 750.
Okay.
So I think he kind of made a concerted effort. You could tell by the way he played. He was sliding way earlier than years past and running out of bounds more, and not trying to take as many hits because he got banged up, and he still got banged up this year. Even trying to not run as much. So he may not be running like he used to, but I still think he can get more yards than what he got last year. So I had him at 675 and a half rushing yards, which I think he'll be right around there, 600 something, just based on like how he plays and his style. Yeah, and then for his rushing touchdowns, every season it's been going up. He had 10 in 2021. 13 last year, or 13 in 2022, and then 15 this past season.
Yeah.
And with the QB sneaks and all that, it's almost automatic once they get down there. So I
Yeah.
had him
Especially the
I
way
had him
y'all
at
do
12 and a
it.
half. Yeah, exactly. So I had him at 12 and a half, which may be low. But he got a lot of sneaks last year. We may not have that much success doing it in the red zone. We might not get to the red zone as much this year and being able to do it. So
But
I had him
sometimes,
at,
man, he was getting two. Like, like
yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of betting, like that's like so much. Like if you would have had him for two rushing touchdowns in a game, man, that's like just so much
yeah.
more on the betting prop. So it's like
And them same game
sometimes,
parlays.
right,
Yeah,
man. So I feel like that there's a lot of times where they are going to rely on now. Obviously, Saquon. We talked about how DeAndre Swift was very capable back, and I loved him. For you guys, but Saquon's obviously bigger dude, so like
yeah.
maybe because of that they allow him to take it in because he's just bigger, stronger. But I still feel
Yeah.
like
And
to your point,
also,
he will.
yeah, I feel like Saquon is less likely to get tackled around the goal line. Like I feel like DeAndre Swift was getting tackled around the 3 yard line, then we'd sneak it in twice for the
Right.
touchdown. But like Saquon would just get those extra
Get
3 yards
in.
and just get
Yeah.
in. Yeah. So, but yeah, since we're on the topic of rushing now, you want to give what you got for rushing yards for your running backs?
Yeah. Najee last year had 1,035 rush yards and 8 touchdowns. Again, people are so low on Najee. They talk a lot of shit on him, and it's just the disrespect with him is I'll never understand it. 3 straight 1,000 rush seasons. We've talked about how that's first time in Steelers franchise history, and he's done it with
Yeah.
a terrible line. Like everyone's talked about our weaknesses, and the main part obviously was who was going to be the quarterback after Ben, but like since Ben to now, like the offensive line has just been absolutely terrible. It's been like a joke, but he's still been able to be productive. And so because we've shored up that part um, of our team, and because of the new offense, I'm going to go, at least 1,300. I want to see him really, really explode this year. So I'm going to go at least 1,300 yards, and I'm going to go 12 touchdowns for Najee.
12 TDs, 12 and a
Yep.
half. 12 and a
Yep.
half or 11 and a half? You think it's going to go over 12? So
Let's go
13
11 and a half. Yeah,
or
you're right. I don't have any
okay.
halves on these ones, so yeah, I gotta remember that. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you didn't
That's my
remind me
nerd
of the
sheet.
half. Yeah, yeah. So we'll go
I
13,
do.
1,300 yards, 11 and a half touchdowns. And then you want to go for Saquon, and I'll go for Jalen afterwards. Or you want
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was right around the same. Thinking, Saquon, what did he have last year? Did he have last year? He only had 962 yards. But I think he's capable of getting more. So I had it lower. I'm gonna go up a little. I'm gonna have it at 12 or 1,200 and a half yards
Okay.
for Saquon, and for his rushing TDs, he only had 6 last year. But I think he can get more. And if I have Jalen Hurts at 12 and a half, I think Saquon's got to be somewhere around there. So I'm gonna go 9.5 for him. So I think he can get 10, if not more, rushing TDs. So yeah. So now we can get into receiving yards and who you got
Well, I was
over
still gonna
there.
go Jalen because I know Jalen's gonna get
Oh, you're right.
his
My fault.
touches
I'm sorry.
too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so last year he had 784. Every single year since him being undrafted, he's just he's gotten better. He's gotten more confident, and he's one of the leaders in the room now too. So 784 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Really good for a guy who's getting if you're talking about from 100%, 40% to now he's 60 as far as touches goes.
Yep.
So like, for him, offensive line is better. It's only gonna it's gonna make his production a lot better too. And so he almost hit that 1,000 yard mark. So I'm gonna say that we have two backs go over 1,000. I know you probably have when the last time that happened for a team. I want to say it was for the. I saw it on Twitter honestly the other day, which is crazy. I think it was the Panthers that had it was some team that
with
had
Christian McCaffrey and someone else, Shoba Hubbard or
no, it was
something
before.
maybe.
It was before.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
I can look it up. Yeah,
but yeah,
give me a
I
sec.
think he's gonna go over 1,000 for his yards, but I'll give him like 6 TDs to that. So I
Okay.
think he'll have 6 touchdowns, but I think he goes over that 1,000 mark as well.
Okay. You can I want to look this up. So you want to do receiving now, receiving yards?
Yeah. So GP George Pickens, he had 1,140 receiving yards last year to only 5 touchdowns. And he really only made it over that 1,000 mark within the last couple games where he had over 100. He kind of went crazy because it didn't look like towards the end of the season he was going to make it over that. And he, showed a lot of frustration throughout the season and what was going on with Matt Canada before we fired him. So again, because I think the offense is just going to be tailored to him. And, another thing from minicamp is he's been working in the slot, and he's talked about how he believes he could score a lot easier in the slot because he's going up against shorter corners, slower linebackers and stuff like that. So I'm looking for him to have a huge year too. So I'm going to say he's going to have 1,400 receiving yards. And I think he breaks the double digit touchdown mark for the first time in his career. And I'm going to go with 9.5. So
okay,
yeah,
nice. Okay, I pulled it up here. You're right. The Panthers in 2009 were the last team to have hold
2
on
1K rushers.
Yeah, I wanted to get the names of them.
One of them, I'm pretty sure
code.
we had on the Steelers at a point. I want to say, I forget his name.
Jonathan Stewart. Your boy D'Angelo Williams.
D'Angelo Williams.
Yep. And then before that was the year before, actually, 2008. The Giants had Derek Ward and Brandon Jacobs.
Oh wow.
And then 1985, Browns. 1976, Steelers. The Franco Harris and Rocky Blair era.
Rocky Blair, yeah.
And then 1972, the Dolphins. So it's only happened 5 times in NFL history that 2 teams had 1,000-yard rushers.
6, man. We have a great tandem.
Yeah.
Everyone has raved about Jalen, so
yeah,
that he can do it.
Arthur Smith offense is known for having,
good
running schemes and
yeah.
So
and we have the
they're going to get theirs for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So for the Eagles, for AJ Brown, what did he have last year? He had, I think he was around 1,400. I don't have it pulled up right now, but he was around 1,400 receiving yards, and he definitely, felt like he didn't do as well as he wanted to. So I think he's going to come out with a vengeance this year. I really think he's going to have another great year. Every season he's been with us has been great, but I think this year could be special for him and Jalen. So I have him around. I had it at like 1,550, but I think that may be even a little low for him. So we'll see. But I'll just keep it there actually. 1,550.5 yards. And then for TDs, I had him at 8.5. Last year he had 7. I think he can get double digits easily, but Devontae takes away from that some. So I think right around 9 is good for him. Yeah. Last year he had 1,456 yards. So yeah, I think he can definitely top that and get upwards of 1,600, if not more. And then Devontae, last year he had something. My fault. Let me pull this up. He had 1,066 yards and 7 They both had 7 receiving TDs last year. So this year, I got Devontae at 1,100 total yards or receiving yards.
That's solid, yeah.
And then for TDs, I have him around the same. So seven TDs. I think he can basically kind of match his production last year, if not do a little better.
Yeah, he should be able to.
Yeah. And then for you want to do a tight end too? You want to throw a tight end in there, or
for receiving? Yeah. Let's do Pat.
Yeah.
We'll do.
Yeah. I can start while you think.
Okay. Yeah.
For Dallas Goedert, I had him around 700 yards for this coming season. Last year he had 592, but he missed a few games, and I feel like some games we missed him.
Right.
We really needed him out there. And for TDs, I have him at 5.5. Last year he had 3, but I think he's a much better player than his stats show, and I think he can and will be utilized more, especially in the red zone, hopefully. So yeah, I have him around 6 TDs.
Okay.
But what are you thinking for your boy?
So Pat Freiermuth, his best year was in 2022. He had 732 yards, two touchdowns. He had 7 touchdowns last year with Ben. Last year, kind of a down year, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that was just due to him being kind of banged up. We actually had a concern with him for a little bit about his concussions, because most of his injuries have been concussions, and so people were kind of worried about his being able to having longevity and being able to play because of that. But he was just really banged up last year, and obviously the offense was just trash. So this year he's working in the slot a lot as well with GP, and a lot of people were saying, like, if we don't end up trading for a wide receiver 2, that has been talked about for the longest time, that he almost might be the wide receiver 2 to GP because of how much Arthur Smith wants to work him in the slot and use him as a weapon. So I'm going to go way over 300. I'm going to say you can have 730.
Oh, okay.
I'll go 730 back to the 2022 year, and only 2 tubs last 2 seasons. I'm definitely going to go with 8.
Nice. You think like end of the season it'll be GP, Pat, and then receiver 2, whoever that ends up being in terms of yardage.
Yeah, because I just feel like regardless, even if we do acquire that person through a trade, they've already just talked about how much he's going to be used. Because he's a better receiving tight end than he is a blocking tight end. He is a big guy. He's 6'5", 258, but his blocking is not his strong suit. It's more his athleticism and his routes and stuff like that. So I really just feel like, as Arthur has talked about, he's going to be implementing a lot, and this is going to be a blanket for Russ. Really, if they're doubling GP and just everything is kind of chaotic, you just have that 6'5" dude that's just in the middle of the field that most people are not going to be able to guard, or like even if you just throw a jump ball, he's going to come down with that. So I think he's going to have a bounce back year, barring any type of injuries that happen, and he's going to be up there with production for sure.
Word. Okay, now let's get into the funner ones, the more uncommon ones I got here. These are just shots in the dark. There's no really any reason or system or analytics behind these. But the first is longest touchdown pass of the season. So I think last year the longest for the Eagles was like 60 something yards, which isn't that long. We have some burners on our team, but didn't end up having a long TD pass. So I kept it around there. I think the longest touchdown pass for the Eagles this coming year will probably be 60 something yards. So I went 60.5.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go because
GP can fly. Yeah, he's another one. Yeah,
and he always has crazy catches where like he just is able to, the corner's right there, but he's still able to just moss them basically, and then he doesn't go down. He just keeps going. He's had plenty of those plays that we've seen. So I'm going to do random, and I'll say 88. We seem to always be kind of backed up in our own end zone a lot,
You're right.
and
Yeah.
hopefully that
Right.
stops with the offense that we have or whatever. But sometimes punters they
Yeah.
boot
Punts
in,
whenever.
it just happens.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it's just us being back there for no reason too. So I'm gonna say if that randomly happens, then it's like moon ball from Russ and he takes it. So
There you go. Yeah. Um. Okay, and then the second one is longest run. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a TD. Someone could get hawked. But
right,
I think with Saquon, even a Jalen Hurts, depending on the situation, somebody needs to break a long ass run. So for that, I had 80.5 for the longest run for
okay,
this coming season. Hopefully Saquon, that'd be tight.
right. For me, top of my head, I'm going with kind of like the fastest dude. So obviously GP is one of the faster guys on our team, but I'm thinking between Jalen Warren and Justin Fields because Najee breaks some runs, but he gets caught immediately. So he doesn't take anything to the crib untouched. Within outside of 30 yards, I think, or 20 yards. So it's
Yeah.
definitely not going to be him. But between Jalen or Justin, I just feel like Jalen's going to get more opportunity to do so. So I'm going to go 65 and a half.
Okay.
Jalen.
Nice. It's not. I realized I didn't have it on here, but we should also have longest rushing TD. I feel like we should have that, but I guess we can just say it's kind of this. It's probably going to be similar. It'll probably be the same. So I just realized it wasn't on here though. The next one is longest reception. So this could be a long TD, but also could just be a long catch. Whatever, or even a receiver or running back screen that goes a long way, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe scores, maybe doesn't. So I just threw on a few more yards than the other one. So I have longest reception at 70.5 for the Eagles. What you got?
Okay. I think this is going to be Roman Wilson. Screen. He ran a lot of end crosser routes at Michigan. So we've already talked about how, Arthur basically wants to kind of make him feel comfortable because he's going to start. So, he wants him to be running kind of the same type of route tree until he can start being comfortable running those other routes. So I say it's going to be one of those type of things with Roman, and I'll go 55 and a half.
Okay. Next one is first touchdown of the season. Who fucking knows? That could be anything. I think last year, the first of the season was a pick six by Darius Slay for us. But this year, I'm just gonna go with old reliable, probably QB sneak, and just say it's gonna be Jalen Hurts to start us off. So
understandable.
What you got?
I'm thinking I don't want to disrespect my boy Najee anymore, so I'm thinking we get into the red zone. He rushes it in there. So I'll say first game versus the Falcons, we drive down the field on the first drive, not the seventh, not the ninth, the first drive, and Najee gets it in there. Starts the season off right, kind of gets the stadium rocking or whatever. So I'll go Najee on that one.
Nice. The next one I got here is total fumbles lost. So let me pull up. I think Jalen Hurts had 7. Let me see. Last year, Jalen Hurts had 9 fumbles, only lost 5. So not terrible.
Yeah,
but
9 in one season.
Not great either.
All of last year. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, a lot.
Damn.
Yeah, not good for him compared to last 2022. He had he only lost 2. Well, actually, yeah, damn. He had 9 fumbles in 2022 also, but he only lost 2 of them. So I guess we just had more fumble luck. I didn't know he had that many last year too. Or 2022. I keep saying last year. I'm confusing myself. But this year, I hope and pray that number goes down. So I'm gonna have it. I'm gonna just have it at 5 because he lost 5 last year. So I'm gonna have it at 4.5, and hopefully it just goes under. And then for Saquon, I'm gonna have him in there too. He doesn't lose many fumbles, but I'll just throw him in there too, and hopefully it's I have it at 2.5 for Saquon, and hopefully he's fucking under that too. No fumbles.
Right. No, definitely.
Yeah.
Najee does a really good job of taking care of the ball, so I don't think he's going to have any fumbles. He only had 4 in his career, I believe.
Mm.
Um, so if anybody's going to lose the ball, I think it's going to be Jalen. Jalen, when actually he started as the undrafted free agent that he is before he kind of rose to what he's become, that was his issue. To the point where at
Yeah.
Latrobe at training camp, they made him carry around the ball in meetings when he's just walking around back to his
Oh
dorm room.
wow, one of
They
those Pop
they
Warner
interviewed
shit.
him, and while he was being interviewed, he had the ball, and they asked him, like, "Why do you have that? Is it just because you just?" And he's like, "No, no, like Eddie Faulkner made me do this. Like this is what I have to do." And so they knew he had
Yeah.
talent catching the ball. You know, he was strong for a smaller back that has the speed and everything, but it was just like he was losing fumbles. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 4. It's unfortunate, but I'm gonna go 4 for him. He definitely has cleaned it up since it started to happen because that was like right when he um, officially made the team for us. But I'll say probably 4 for him.
Yeah. Um, and then I was gonna say, yeah, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris both have 5 fumbles in their career, but only 3 lost for Najee and 2 lost for Jalen Warren. So
Okay.
not terrible for a career at all.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, yeah. And then the last one we're gonna do for today is total 100-yard games. So like who do you think is gonna have multiple or however many 100-yard games? So like
Receiving or
uh,
rushing.
receiving or rushing, yeah.
Okay.
So for example, uh, AJ Brown last year he had 7 games with 100 receiving yards. George Pickens had 5. Devontae Smith had 2. So I would say that 7 is a lot. I think I'll lower it a little bit. I think for AJ Brown, I'd go 5.5, and Devontae Smith, I think 3 is right. It's good. So I'll probably go 2.5 for Devontae.
Okay. Honestly, that surprises me. I didn't know it was 5 for GPs, especially because a quarter or more of that season was with Matt Canada, and I'm pretty sure if anybody hated Matt Canada the most, it would have been George Pickens because
All right.
everyone wanted to say how immature he was and how this is the reason why he fell to the second round because he acts like this. It's like no man, there was a real reason why he was acting the way he was, and I think it was directly related to that. People can say he could have handled it better, but whatever. I feel like that was directly related to what was going on in the offense, and so I'm going to go above 5. I'm going to say he's going to have 7 games over 100 because he's going to be the focal point. And regardless of him being double teamed and stuff like that, he's going to find a way to win. He's not a dude that drops the ball a lot when he gets the opportunity to get the ball. That's what we really love about him, obviously. So I'm going to go 7 for GP, and then going to do rushing as well.
Yeah. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris both had 2 games last year with 100 rushing yards. Saquon had 1, but I would say for Saquon, I would hope he's in the 3-4 range. So I'm gonna go right there. I would say 3.5 for Saquon.
Okay, that's crazy. Both of them went. Okay, so again with the terrible line, that's that's kind of crazy to me. So I'm gonna go over that for both of them. I'm gonna say Najee has. You said 2. It was 2 and 2.
Yeah, 2 for both of them last year.
I'm gonna say Najee has 5, and Jalen has 3.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll keep this stored away somewhere. We'll keep track,
Yeah,
see how it looks at the end of the season. And we're going to do more next week probably.
yeah.
But just wanted to kind of take an outlook on the full season and
Switch it up
kind
a
of
little bit.
hoping see how things are looking for our players. But yeah, if you're ready, we can hop into grind our gears and wrap this thing up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You can start us off.
Okay. So my grind my gears segment for today. It's going to be, the recent signing, Mike Tomlin.
Mm.
Got 3 more years added on to his deal because it was going to be expiring after the end of this season. So he signed on until 2027. Um, didn't That was like probably the most obvious thing that was going to happen this offseason to people who were paying attention or Steelers fans, stuff like that. I don't feel like that was a surprise at all. But the reaction for me was a surprise on uh, guys like Colin Coward and just other analysts that are just, why not wait till the end of the season? Or why would you even give him 3 more seasons? And it's just like we kind of talked about it a little bit before off air. It's just like some people don't understand, and some fan bases don't understand what it's truly like to have an incompetent um, person at the head coaching position, someone
Yeah.
who just does not deserve that job, and it's just awful. And I think Mike Tomlin is very far from awful or incompetent. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. If he retired tomorrow, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. And so um, people are just like really like, I don't know what word to use. It's just like delusional, I guess would be the best word to use, is because, I don't understand why the expectation would be like, he's got to win a Super Bowl every other year and whatever. It's like, for what he's done for the time period that he's been here, which is, I have it here. He's 181, 110 and 2. That's his record, and his postseason record, is 8-10. You would want that to be better. We haven't um, won a playoff game since 2017, so I think that's his blemish on his resume. But his overall record, what he's done for the city of Pittsburgh, we have a Super Bowl under him. People want to say that that was from a prior coach, like he didn't really assemble that team. But it's just like you still have to get the troops ready to go to war every Sunday. You still have to, coach them to those wins. And so for people to try to even take that away from him, I think it's just extremely disrespectful. So that's just what kind of upsets me, is just like, he's proven it. He's already proven it. And so hopefully with a playoff win or two this season, and hopefully maybe another Super Bowl before he retires, that will be put to bed, and people will be talking about how crazy it was to even speak on his name the way it's been done. But yeah, for me, I just don't understand that. I never will understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very easy to sit up there and complain and, be like, oh, wait, why does he need to get the extension now, all that, like you said. And
Yeah,
at the same time, you got fans like the Browns, or people who are fans of like
yeah,
the Lions until Dan Campbell, just running
right.
through coaches and
Dolphins,
mishaps. And just the Texans until recently, they were a
yeah.
dumpster fire. Yeah,
There's way
to
worse
have that
situations.
stability and to have that, to have that stability and to have that, competence, like you said, he earned that extension. He should tell them when he wants to go, unless something egregious
Yeah,
happens. It shouldn't be like,
yeah.
if he wants
And
to
I do
keep
believe
coaching,
that's what
let
it's
him
going to
coach,
be.
because he is,
Yeah,
because he has yet to show that he's lost his fastball, and the Steelers aren't looking any
right.
worse than they were in the past. So, wins and losses aside, that's all that matters at the end of the day. But like, you can tell that there's something there. So
Yeah,
I don't see an issue with it. Yeah. For my grind my gears segment, you know, I just I didn't see a lot of it, so I can't really say it grinded my gears too much, but I saw enough of it. People were just trying to act like Trevor Lawrence doesn't deserve the money he got. I think he's severely underrated, having to deal with the franchise that he's with and the incompetent. Speaking of incompetence, like the GM and front office around him and like how he entered the league, I think he's doing just fine. He, based on the expectations he had coming out of college, yes, he has under delivered because, people were claiming he was the next god.
chosen one. Yeah,
Yeah, chosen one, prince that was promised, all that, which I, fell for as well.
I
And
think we all did.
but I
Yeah,
still think, yeah, but I still think he can be a good QB. He is a good QB.
yeah,
Um, but the wins may not be there. And last year the stats definitely weren't there. He had a lot of dropped passes, dropped touchdowns, especially.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that went wrong with
Turnovers.
that team last year on offense. Yeah, so he definitely can play better and will play better. But to act like he's not worthy of this extension is just nonsense to me. And anyone who thinks that he's a bad QB and doesn't deserve that money. And I saw graphs saying like, oh, they should have kept Gardner Minshew and drafted a team around him instead of getting Trevor Lawrence. It's like,
What?
you don't know ball. Just say you don't know ball. There's no reason to ever think that drafting a team, like, first of all, the Jaguars can't draft. That's number one.
That's the
they
yeah,
can't
exactly.
draft. Second of all, Gardner Minshew was not. You could give him any Super Bowl winning roster. He ain't going to the Super Bowl. He ain't winning with anything. So I mean, I didn't look it up. I don't have like a ton of stats or anything to back it up, but Trevor Lawrence is, in my opinion, top 10, 15 QB, and I would guess he's top 10, 15 in a lot of like grades and metrics and stats that aren't the traditional passing yards, touchdowns. He didn't kill it in that last year, but I can guarantee he's somewhere in that range. And I think in a few years' time, people are gonna have a lot more
different conversations,
put a lot more respect on his name. Yeah, different combo for sure.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, man. Like, obviously the promise coming out of Clemson hasn't been there, and even some of the numbers are just the fumbles, the interceptions. But I think I've said it on here before. Like, I feel like all that I'm just gonna blame on the front office, because I feel like a lot of those, he shouldn't be doing it for how great that he is, but I think he's just kind of doing hero ball because he's like, where are these dudes that I'm used to having from high school to Clemson? And now it's supposed to be better. It's supposed to get better when you're in the league. You're supposed to have the best players in the world around you. And he's never had, I don't think you can ever say that he's had the best player at their position in the world, like how all these other teams have. No, he has not. And it comes from the incompetence of the GM. Why does he have it? We're talking about why Trevor should be getting the money. Why is the GM being able to be a general manager of a football team when he's making these decisions? That's what we need to be asking. Why are we not holding that dude accountable? Because I'm going to say, like, people who can go and do Madden franchise mode will be able to do better than you. And people could take that as disrespect, but
with the pieces he had and the draft picks he had, he had the number 1 draft pick 2 years in a row.
And
you draft Trevor Lawrence, and then you draft, Trayvon Walker. No disrespect to him, but still, you had Aiden Hutchinson right there and just overthought it and did too much. And
some of the free agency moves, like, it's even more than the draft. Like, we have a lot of, evidence to show that you can't do your job. You should not. You do not deserve that job anymore. So it's like, okay, we can blame Trevor a lot for it because the QB is going to get blamed or praised for a lot of the things. But at the end of the day, it's just not there. Now, we'll see if I liked Brian Thomas Jr. I was hoping the Steelers got him as well. So hopefully he's good for them. But, like, that's still not enough. Like, we got to see these other pieces. And it's really going to, that contract and the money that they're giving him, we're going to see if it pays off based off, because now they got to go draft. Now you got to go and get some dudes to show off your new car or whatever, the new guy that you paid. So we'll see what happens. I'm rooting for him, but I would say the move needs to be get a new GM. That's what the move needs to be. So
there's a lot less margin for error when you have to pay QB that much. You have to nail your draft picks, and they haven't in a decade.
Absolutely.
So good luck. But unless they get a new GM, like you said, we'll see. But that's all we got this week. We'll run it back next week with probably the same kind of format. Probably talk about some more prop bets, and hopefully there's some news out there in the NFL world we can yap about.
Right.
But follow us on socials at Steelbirds Podcast on Instagram. Follow both of us on all our socials at ItzyBoyCK and at Brock_IV. And we will catch y'all next week.
Peace.
Peace.